Welcome back to the Talk Lab podcast, everyone. Today's discussion centers on something that can genuinely transform the way you interact with English. Not just how you speak, not only how you listen, but the entire relationship you have with the language. We're diving deep into the art of thinking in English. And sitting beside me is Angelina, someone who has a remarkable gift for helping learners rewire their minds to absorb languages naturally. Angelina, are you ready for this mind-shifting conversation?
Absolutely, Jack. This topic is one of the most powerful yet misunderstood strategies in language learning. Many people imagine that thinking in English is some advanced skill reserved for experts, but that's a myth. It's available to anyone who's willing to reshape their habits. Thinking in English is not about perfection. It's about immersion. Mental immersion. It's about choosing English as the default language inside your thoughts, little by little, until it becomes instinctive.
And that instinct doesn't appear overnight. It begins with tiny internal sentences, micro-thoughts, silent reactions, the little mental notes we all make throughout the day. When someone starts training their brain to create those thoughts in English, even if they're simple, the change begins.
Exactly. People underestimate the power of simple, internal dialogue. Even a tiny phrase like, "I need water," "I should hurry," or "this is exciting" is enough to activate your brain in the right direction. The key is consistency. When these internal messages appear again and again in English, the brain starts reorganizing itself. Neural pathways strengthen, and suddenly the language feels smoother and more natural.
You know, many learners tell me they get stuck because they're constantly translating in their heads. They hear something in English, convert it to their native language, think of a reply, translate it back into English, and then speak. By the time they finish all that mental gymnastics, the moment is gone, and the conversation feels awkward. Thinking in English eliminates that entire chain of unnecessary steps.
That's the biggest advantage. When you think directly in English, you bypass the translation barrier completely. Your mind becomes agile. Responses form faster. Confidence increases because you're no longer switching between two linguistic systems. You're operating inside one environment, and that environment becomes English.
And here's something interesting. People assume thinking in English requires a huge vocabulary, but it doesn't. You can think in English even with the most basic words. If you don't know a particular term, you can explain it with phrases you already know. Paraphrasing is one of the most powerful tools for fluency.
Oh, yes. If you forget the word appointment, you might think, "I have a planned time to meet someone." If you can't recall comfortable, you can say, "It feels good and easy." Staying inside the language is what matters. The moment you switch back to your native language, you interrupt the flow. But if you stay in English, even with simpler expressions, your brain stays in learning mode.
This is what we should highlight. Fluency is not about speaking perfectly. It's about speaking without stopping. And the only way to achieve that is to train your mind to operate in English internally.
Right. And thinking in English doesn't demand any special setting. You don't need a notebook or a teacher. You don't need a classroom. You can practice it anywhere, while walking, cleaning, eating, traveling, waiting for a friend, or even right before you fall asleep. Those everyday moments turn into powerful practice sessions.
Exactly. Imagine you're walking outside. Instead of letting your mind wander randomly, you shift into English mode. The weather is warm today. Those kids look happy. I need to buy something later. These small comments accumulate and create fluency over time.
One of my favorite techniques is narrating actions. I often tell learners to describe what they're doing, even silently. I'm opening the window. I'm choosing clothes. I'm preparing tea. These statements are simple, but they build a habit of forming thoughts directly in English.
And another incredibly useful method is internal conversations. Creating imaginary dialogues, pretending you're answering questions, debating with yourself, practicing opinions. This stimulates the spontaneous part of the brain, the part responsible for speaking without hesitation.
I love that technique. When you imagine conversations, your mind rehearses real-life interaction. You're preparing for situations before they even happen. And when the moment arrives, you already know how to express your ideas.
It's like mental training for real communication.
Exactly. And sometimes people feel shy or nervous when speaking with others, but internal practice removes that fear. Inside your head, there's no judgment. You can make mistakes freely. You can repeat sentences. You can test new expressions. And every time you do, your brain becomes stronger.
I want to mention something else. Thinking in English enhances listening skills dramatically. When your thoughts match the language you hear, understanding becomes easier. Words don't feel foreign anymore. They connect to something familiar, something your brain has been practicing.
That's true. Thinking in English also improves pronunciation because the mind rehearses the sound patterns even when you're quiet. Internal speech trains the rhythm of the language, the melody, the flow, and that naturally shapes your accent over time.
And this is the part most people don't expect. Thinking in English can actually feel enjoyable. It becomes a game, a challenge, a creative experience. You start discovering new ways to express yourself, new ways to observe the world, new ways to tell your own internal stories.
Yes, it becomes a form of mental freedom. You stop depending on translation. You stop hesitating. You stop censoring yourself. Instead, you become curious. You begin experimenting. You start trusting your instincts in English.
So let's explore how to make this internal habit even more effective. One technique I've found incredibly helpful is labeling emotions in English. For instance, instead of just feeling happy or sad, try to articulate it internally. I feel joyful because the sun is shining. Or, I feel frustrated because I can't find my keys. By giving your feelings words, your brain practices creating sentences that are nuanced and rich.
Absolutely. And the beauty of this approach is that it doesn't require perfection. Even if your phrasing is awkward at first, your mind is learning structure, context, and expression simultaneously. Over time, your internal sentences become fluid, almost automatic, without conscious effort.
Another method that I love is thinking in questions and answers. Instead of only making statements, ask yourself things like, what will I do after breakfast? How can I solve this problem? Why is this situation interesting? Then internally respond. This mimics real-life conversation, trains your spontaneous thinking, and helps you prepare for unpredictable scenarios.
Yes, It's a subtle but powerful practice. When learners switch to question and answer mode internally, they begin anticipating responses, structuring thoughts, and developing critical thinking skills in English. It's like a private rehearsal for life itself.
And here's an important point. Context matters. Try to connect your English thoughts to the environment around you. When you see a tree, think, the leaves are green and moving with the wind. When you walk past a cafe, think, the smell of coffee is inviting. Linking language to real-world context cements vocabulary and sentence structures in your mind naturally.
Exactly. Visualization combined with language practice is immensely effective. Your mind is more likely to remember words and phrases if they are attached to something tangible, something you can see or imagine vividly. This bridges memory and application effortlessly.
Another layer is storytelling. Think about events in your life and describe them in English internally. Yesterday, I went to the park and watched children playing. I met a friend and shared a funny story. Storytelling encourages sequencing thoughts, using various tenses and organizing ideas logically.
I always tell learners that even imagining tiny dialogues between imaginary characters is useful. You can pretend you're talking to a friend, negotiating a business deal, or ordering food. These exercises build cognitive flexibility. You're preparing your brain to adapt in real conversations naturally.
And it doesn't stop there. Mental summarization is another excellent practice. After reading a short article, a paragraph, or watching a clip, internally summarize it in English. The article explained 3 benefits of exercise. The video discussed strategies for time management. Summarizing helps consolidate grammar, vocabulary, and comprehension simultaneously.
Yes, summarization strengthens your working memory in English and encourages concise, clear expression. Your brain becomes trained to retrieve the right words quickly, which is essential during real-life communication.
A frequently overlooked tip is describing abstract ideas instead of just observing physical objects. Think about concepts. Friendship is important because it provides support and understanding. Creativity requires experimentation and patience. This not only enhances vocabulary, but develops the ability to express complex thoughts in English.
Indeed. And all of these practices accumulate into something remarkable. Over weeks and months, your internal English thinking becomes more automatic. You stop pausing to translate. You stop doubting word choices. Your mind essentially lives in English. That's the ultimate fluency shortcut.
Another advantage is that this habit significantly reduces speaking anxiety. When you've rehearsed thousands of internal sentences, actual conversations feel familiar and safe. Mistakes become less intimidating because you've already experienced variations of similar sentences mentally.
And learners should remember that progress isn't linear. Some days your mind switches effortlessly. Other days, it lingers in your native language. That's natural. What matters is persistence and continuing to practice, even for just a few minutes daily. Every small effort compounds over time.
Absolutely. Let's also touch on mental imitation of native speech patterns. Listening to podcasts, watching shows, or reading aloud silently helps internalize intonation, rhythm, and sentence flow. Mimicking these patterns internally improves your English pronunciation and makes your thought process more natural.
I often recommend silent dialogues before sleep. You can reflect on the day, narrate events, or imagine conversations. The brain consolidates learning during rest, and you'll notice your internal sentences becoming smoother over time. This method is subtle, but extremely powerful.
And here's a tip that's sometimes overlooked. Switch between first-person and third-person perspectives. Instead of just, I feel happy, try, he feels excited about his new project. Or, she wonders what to eat for dinner. This flexibility trains your brain to manipulate grammar structures, perspectives, and pronouns effortlessly.
Exactly. Perspective shifting not only develops grammar instinctively, but also enhances creativity and empathy. Thinking about situations from multiple angles enriches your English mind.
Let's explore another technique, Angelina. Internal debate. You can challenge yourself by arguing both sides of a topic in English silently. For example, is online learning effective? Then give pros. It's flexible, convenient, allows global access. And cons, lacks personal interaction, might reduce motivation. This approach exercises vocabulary, grammar, and critical thinking simultaneously.
Yes, Jack. Internal debate is like a gym for the mind. You stretch sentence structures, explore nuances, and mentally rehearse ideas you might express in real-life discussions. It's not just about speaking. It's about reasoning in English. Your brain starts thinking in the language instead of translating constantly.
Another habit I encourage is mental storytelling with imagination. Instead of narrating just real events, imagine scenarios. I am traveling to Paris tomorrow. I will see the Eiffel Tower. I wonder what it will feel like. Imaginary narratives activate creativity, connect vocabulary to emotions, and train your mind to think in English naturally.
Absolutely. And learners often underestimate the importance of connecting English thoughts to emotions. If a sentence carries feeling, like excitement, curiosity, or surprise, it's far more memorable. The brain stores emotional experiences more effectively than neutral ones, which accelerates fluency development.
And here's a subtle trick. Combine observation with reflection. Walk outside and silently comment. The sky is cloudy. I hope it doesn't rain. I enjoy the cool breeze. Observation grounds your language in reality, while reflection adds depth. Together, they cultivate a richer internal dialogue.
Another method I love is categorizing ideas mentally. For instance, when you encounter new vocabulary, think fruit, apple, banana, orange, furniture, chair, table, sofa. Then create sentences. I ate an apple this morning. Or, the chair in the living room is comfortable. This builds organized, retrievable English knowledge in your mind.
And repetition doesn't have to be boring. By varying sentence structures, synonyms, or perspectives, your internal exercises remain engaging. For example, I'm feeling tired can become, I feel exhausted, or my energy is low. This variety strengthens mental flexibility.
Exactly. And even small self-conversations throughout the day matter. I need to buy groceries. I hope traffic isn't bad. What should I cook tonight? Every micro-thought creates a mental habit that eventually makes fluent speech almost automatic.
It's fascinating how much power the mind has when properly trained. Thinking in English gradually reprograms the brain, reduces hesitation, and allows sentences to flow naturally. And learners often experience a breakthrough moment. They realize they are no longer translating, they are just thinking in English.
That moment is magical. Suddenly, your vocabulary feels larger because your brain retrieves words effortlessly. Grammar feels intuitive. Responses come naturally. Speaking becomes a reflection of thought, not a translation process. And the best part? Confidence soars.
Yes, and remember, mistakes are part of this journey. Internal errors are invisible. They don't embarrass you, they teach you. The more you allow your mind to experiment silently, the faster your fluency grows. Internal practice is safe, private, and highly effective.
Exactly. And the beauty of thinking in English is that it's always available. You can practice anywhere, anytime. Whether commuting, cooking, exercising, or resting, your mind can continue building fluency. No textbook, no classroom, no special equipment, just your attention and intention.
To summarize, the path to fluency through thinking in English is built on 3 pillars: consistency, mental creativity, and courage to experiment. Keep observing, describing, questioning, imagining, debating, and reflecting internally. Over time, these habits transform your English from foreign to natural.
Absolutely. And I want listeners to remember, you don't have to speak perfectly or know every word. Start small, start now. Focus on forming thoughts in English every day, and gradually, speaking will flow effortlessly. Thinking in English is the bridge to true fluency.
Thank you, Angelina, for sharing these incredible insights. Your guidance helps learners see a clear path to internalizing English without fear or hesitation.
Thank you, Jack, and to all our listeners, keep nurturing your internal English voice. Experiment, explore, imagine, and reflect. Your fluency is growing silently, even if you don't notice it immediately.
Exactly. And that's the secret: consistency, curiosity, and courage. Keep thinking, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy the process.
It's been a pleasure discussing this with you. And to everyone listening, remember, the mind is your most powerful language tool. Use it wisely, practice daily, and you'll notice the transformation.
Absolutely. That wraps up today's episode of Talk Lab Podcasts. Thank you for joining us. Keep thinking in English and keep growing.
Goodbye, everyone. Stay curious, stay motivated, and embrace English in your thoughts.
See you next time. Take care.